गोपीजना वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी। जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय ब्रजजन रंजना। जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय ब्रजजन रंजना। यमुना तीरवन चारि जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरवन चारि जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरवन चारि जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। बोलिए जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी। जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय ब्रजजन रंजना। यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रीला भय चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन विविध संस्थापक आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य शिला हरदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की श्रीला प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha, Sri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha, Shad Goswami Prabhu ki. Hare Krishna. So, I welcome everyone for this 4-lecture series on the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Today we will speak on Srila Sanatan Goswami. It was Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami who first mentioned about these 6 Goswamis in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Echhai Gururdhar Charana Vandan Jaha Hoite Vignanash Abhishta Puran Sri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Sri Jeeva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha. So Srila Sanatan Goswami is the first of the 6 Goswamis. A brief context of what is the significance of these Goswamis with respect to their original forms and positions in the spiritual world, and some of the other historical details of which Goswami connected to Lord Chaitanya first and then later who connected next. All these details we'll discuss tomorrow when we have a longer session in the morning. But amongst all the descriptions of the Goswamis, amongst the 6 Goswamis, the maximum available literature in Chaitanya Charitamrita is of Sanatana Goswami. Practically, chapter 20 of Madhya Lila up till chapter 25th, 4 to 5 full chapters on Sanatana Goswami are there. So, it is described that in Karnataka there was a great Brahman whose name was Sarvagya Jagat Guru, whose son was Aniruddha, and he had 2 sons, Rupeshwara and Harihara. Due to various reasons, Rupeshwara had to leave Karnataka and go to Bengal side, and Rupeshwar's son was was Padmanabha, and Padmanabha had multiple sons, and amongst the sons were Purushottam, Jagannath, Narayan, Murari, and Mukundadev. Mukundadev's son is the famous Kumaradev, and Kumaradev had amongst various sons 3 who were most prominent. They were known as Rupa, Sanatan, and Vallabha. So Srila Sanatana Goswami Pada's birth year is described as 1465. One interesting thing about all the 6 Goswamis is their teachings, their writings, their literatures have excellent clarity, but there is a lot of confusion with respect to their birth dates. The historical veracity of their appearance dates are many times debated. So Srila Sanatana Goswami had various teachers, first of whom was known as Ram Bhadra. And then was Sarabhauma Bhattacharya, under whom he studied Nyaya, and then Vidya Vachaspati. Then, at that time, the king who was ruling Bengal was known as Nawab Hussain Shah. Nawab Hussain Shah threatened Rup and Sanatan that if they do not support the rule which he is having, then he would actually unleash terror on the Hindu population in Bengal. And therefore, in order to be part of the administration, Sanatan Goswami at that time also had to study Persian and Arabic. Because just like today, if you do not know English, very difficult to get employment in various quarters. Like that, at that time, if you did not know Arabic and Persian, you could not be employed in the government service. So he became fluent in both Persian and Arabic. And in his dream, one Brahmana appeared and gifted to him Srimad Bhagvatam. And he wrote several verses in glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Mad ekabandho mad sange mad guru mad mahadana mad nistaraka mahabhagya madananda namostute. And spontaneously he composed this verse where he glorifies the Srimad Bhagavatam as his life and soul. And then he studied the Srimad Bhagavatam under Paramananda Bhattacharya. So there is an interesting story of how he got appointed as the Prime Minister of Bengal. Nawab Hussain Shah had appointed one very expert mason whose name was Piru. And this mason was engaged in creating a beautiful palace for Nawab Hussain Shah. So Nawab Hussain Shah went to inspect that palace. And as they went to the top of that palace, the dome was half finished, but the rest of the palace was done. After witnessing how beautifully the entire palace was built, and seeing that only the dome was remaining, Nawab Hussain Shah patted Piru on his back and said, "I am proud of you. What an excellent palace you have created." And Piru the mason, he said to Nawab Hussain Shah, "Actually, this is nothing. I can create a palace which is 100 times better than this one." Nawab Hussain Shah became very angry. He said, "You have not given me the best. You have given me something which is third class, and you have reserved the first class for someone else. I immediately pronounced death sentence upon you." And then he took the sword, placed it on Piru's neck, and said, "What is your last wish? I am going to kill you." Piru said, "Anyway, I am going to die. So at least this palace, let it be named after me." And it was known as the Pirusha Mandir. And then Nawab Hussain Shah kicked him from the top of that palace, and he fell on the ground and he died. This was the kind and level of cruelty which Nawab Hussain Shah had. But there was one problem. The palace was half finished. The dome was not complete. So Nawab Hussain Shah turned to his minister, whose name was Hinga, and said, "We have to finish this dome. We have to somehow finish this dome." And then he turned to Hinga and said, "You must go to Moragram." And after saying you must go to Moragram, he got distracted by something else, and he forgot to tell him why you must go to Moragram. And then he started talking to someone else something, and then Hinga was thinking, should I ask Nawab Hussain Shah why I should go to Moragram? Then Hinga thought, if I ask him, maybe I'll get killed. because I have just witnessed such a cruel killing. So Hinga just went to Moragram and was roaming around in a bewildered state, not knowing what to do. That is a time when Sanatan Goswami spotted him, and he looked at Hinga and said, "The king has sent you to Moragram?" And Hinga said, "Yes." "Do you know why he has sent you?" Hinga said, "No." "So then why you came?" He said, "Why? Because he already gave instruction, if I ask him too many questions, he may kill me. So I don't even know what to do here." So Sanatan Goswami said, "Here are 4 or 5 masons. Moragram is famous for masons. And it seems that the king's palace is unfinished. That unfinished palace can only be completed with the help of these masons. Take these masons with you. The king will reward you." Hinga, the minister, looked at Sanatan Goswami and said, "Are you sure? If he means something else, I'll get killed. You're sure he wants the masons only?" He said, "Of course he wants the masons, take them." So he took the masons with him. And then when Nawab Hussain Shah saw the masons, he looked at Hinga and said, "But I never told you why you should go to why you should go to Moragram. How did you find out?" And Hinga said, "I met this gentleman. He looked at me and immediately figured out why I am come here." Nawab Hussain Shah said, "Who was this person who could figure out what you wanted without telling him?" And he said, "I can call him if you want." So he went to Moragram and called Sanatan Goswami. And when Sanatan Goswami comes in front of Nawab Hussain Shah, Nawab Hussain Shah says, "I have heard a lot about you before. And now this incident has confirmed that you are the person who can be fit to be my prime minister, because you can understand my mind even without my expressing anything. Therefore, please become my prime minister. Call your brothers also. They will also be appointed as ministers." And Nawab Hussain Shah did not really give any choice. So he gave the name to Sanatan Goswami, Sakar Malik. And he gave the name to Rupa Goswami, Dabir Khas. And made them the prime minister or the private secretary or the finance minister. And then Vallabh Bhatt, the third brother, was also made part of the internal entourage. Badira nikate ati nibrita shatante kodamba kanana dhara shamakundtate. So Bhakti Ratnakar describes that Srila Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami in their daytime would wear the dress which was required to be worn by the Nawab. But in the evening when they would come back, they would take a bath and wear the Vaishnava Vastra, and they would sit on the bank of what they had created as river Yamuna. They had created Govardhan. They had created residences for devotees to stay. So amongst the 5 kinds of Vrindavan, first is the Golok Vrindavan, second is the Bhauma Vrindavan, third is Vrindavan after Krishna completes the pastimes. And what we see today is known as Drishyamana Vrindavan. Vrindavan which is revealed to the qualified. Fourth is Vrindavan in the heart of the devotees, and fifth is Vrindavan created by the devotees. The recreated Vrindavan, there are 10 in the last 5,000 years. The first was created by Krishna himself in Dwarka, and he instructed Brahmaji to recreate Vrindavan. Second is what Rupa and Sanatan created 500 years ago in Ramakeli. So they created Vrindavan, and they would call all the Vaishnavas and they would offer them places of residence, and Rupa and Sanatan would be hearing and chanting in their association. Vrindavan Leela Tatha Karaye Chintan Na dhore dhyairaj netra dhara anukshan. And Bhakti Ratnakar describes that as Rup and Sanatan would sit and chant the holy names, Vrindavan Lila Karoy Chintan, as they would be contemplating on the Lord's Vrindavan pastimes, Na dhore dhairaja netra, they could not control the symptoms of their ecstasy, and tears would flow from their eyes as they would be chanting the holy names. So it is described that at this point in time, Rup and Sanatan heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas in 1510 January, had come to Jagannath Puri in February of 1510 and gone to South India in April of 1510. And after 2 years had returned back to Jagannath Puri in 1512. And after being stopped by the devotees from leaving Puri for more than 1 year, in 1514 he left for Vrindavan via Bengal. At that time he comes to this place of Ramakeli. So in one sense, as we will read about the other Goswamis, some of the other Goswamis met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu physically before Rup and Sanatan. So the first to meet was Raghunath Das Goswami, and the second to meet was Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. Second to meet was, Raghunath Gopal Bhatt Goswami, and then Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. So in that sense, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sanatan Goswami pretty late. That way. So Sanatan Goswami, as soon as he meets Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Madhya Lila, that meeting is described, that how Rup and Sanatan, they approach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a secluded place and fall at his feet and pray to him. Nicha jati nicha sangi kori nicha karma tomar agrete Prabhu kohte basilaj. My dear Lord, we are the most fallen. We have engaged in abominable activities, and we are looking forward to your grace. Potita pavana hetu tomar avatar amabai jagate patita nahiyar. My dear Lord, you have appeared as Patita Pavan Avatar to deliver the fallen, and there is no one fallen than us. Why? Jagaye madhai dui korile uddhar taha uddharile shrama nahika amar. My dear Lord, you delivered Jagai and Madhai, but to deliver Jagai and Madhai you did not have to exert too much. Why? Because they were already born in exalted families. And they were Dhamvasis. Their only fault was they engaged in some sinful activities. But Jagai Madhai hoite koti koti gun adhama patita Prabhu amidui jan. We are millions of times more fallen than Jagai and Madhai. Why? Because a person becomes fallen under three conditions: because of birth, because of association, because of occupation. Mlecha jati mlecha sevi kori mlecha karma go brahmana drohe sange amar sangam. My dear Lord, we are fallen because we served and assisted Nawab Hussain Shah in his nefarious designs of trying to control, conquer and destroy the Brahmanas. We supported the killing of the cows. We have engaged in abominable activities. And therefore, because of that association, because of the kind of occupation we had, we are the most fallen. Mora karma mora hate galaye bandhiya ko vishaya vishtha garthe diyache philaya. We are responsible for our own sinful activities. We have fallen down not because of someone else, but because of the choices we made. Mora karma, mora hathe galaye bandhiya. We have made those choices, and we cannot blame anybody. Our future is decided by the choices we make. And based on the choices we make, either we elevate our consciousness or we become degraded in our consciousness. The devotees told Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, there is a nightclub here which starts at 9 o'clock at night and there is activity till 4 o'clock in the morning. It's a great place for distributing books. Please give us blessings so that we can go and distribute books. Prabhupada said, you can go there, but make sure you come back also. Because to go is easy, but to not get affected is difficult. And therefore, the association is very, very powerful impact. We become what we associate with. Amanistarite tomar iha agaman parama dayalu tumi patita pavan. Sripad Ramananda Rai glorifies Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Patita Pavan, the savior of the fallen, the purifier of the fallen. And how does he define the fallen? Vedanishta madhya ardhe kaveda mukhe mane vedanishidha papa kore dharma nahi gane. To know what is to be done, what is not to be done. Still, we are unable to control our senses and make the right choices. And we succumb to the temptations. That is known as patita or fallen. That is the meaning of patita. When Srila Prabhupada was preaching Krishna consciousness in the early days, he showed the book Easy Journey to Other Planets to one of his friends. And his friend looked at the book and said, what will I get by reading this book? Srila Prabhupada said, by reading this book you will go to the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan. And his friend said, after going to Golok, can I come back to Jhansi? And Prabhupada said, no, you can't do that. Then he said, what is the point? I am not interested in this. So when we come to Krishna consciousness, the purpose of our coming in the association is to purify our aspirations. I was in the airport and somebody shouted behind me, Swamiji, Swamiji, wait. I stopped and I turned back. And he said, do you have Bhagavad Gita? I said, yes, I have Bhagavad Gita, but not here, it's in the temple. He said, I think that this is the right age. I should start studying the Gita. I am almost 77 years old. Krishna says, no, this is the right age to start. I said, what do you do? He said, I am CA. I said, oh, chartered accountant. He said, no, complete aram. So many people feel that spiritual life is something to be started much later in life. But Rupa and Sanatan at the peak of their youth are telling Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, आमा उद्धरिया जदि देखाओ निज बल पतित पावन नाम तबे से सफल. My dear Lord, you are known as Patita Pavan. To prove that you are Patita Pavan, you need to deliver Patita. We are the best sample. If you can't deliver us, nobody will take you seriously. And therefore, we challenge you to deliver us. Muradaya kari karo swadaya safal Akhila Brahmand dekhuk tomar daya bal. By delivering us, let the whole universe see the power of your kripa or mercy. So Lord Chaitanya may say, I'm sitting right there up in the spiritual world and you are most fallen. Do you think you are qualified? What makes you feel that you are eligible to be delivered? Vaman yai chhe chand dharite chahe kore toi chhe ei vancha more uthaye antare. And he says, my dear Lord, the moon may be high up in the sky, the dwarf may be on the ground. The dwarf cannot touch the moon, but the rays of the moon can touch the dwarf. Therefore, the rays of your mercy can always deliver us. Please do deliver us, my dear Lord. And then they quote from Stotra Ratna, Bhavantamevanucharam nirantara Prashanta nihishesha manorathantara Kadahamaikântika nitya kinkara Praharshayishyami sanatha jivitam. My dear Lord, when our mind will be freed from the desires for sense gratification, when will our mind find shelter in you as our worshipable master? When we will become sanatha from anatha. Anatha is one who does not have a shelter or a master, and sanatha is someone with shelter. My dear Lord, may you become our shelter. And then he says, you become our Lord, Sanatha. Therefore, when in ISKCON the devotees get initiated, they get a name, and connected to the name is what? Das. So and so Das. What does it mean? It is an indication that we are a servant. It is an indication that we have been accepted in the parampara. Aji hoite duhar nama roop sanatan dainya chhadi tomar dainya phate muraman. So Lord Chaitanya says, I hereby initiate you and give you the name Rupa and Sanatan. And my first instruction to you as disciples is, give up your humility. That is the level of these disciples. That, give up humility. One disciple asked after initiation, Radhanath Swami Maharaj, please give me your blessings to remain humble. Maharaj told him, first become humble. Then only you can remain. So two devotees were discussing in front of Prabhupada, I got a better name than you. Prabhupada said, this is nonsense. There is only one important name in your initiation name, which is Das. You are a servant, right? There is no question of better name. I am better name. You have got a little different name, whatever. So Prabhupada's disciple, he was from Germany and his name was Hans Carey. And people in America were making fun of him because he was from Germany. So when you are from one part of the country and you go to another part and people are not familiar with your name, then they find it funny. Because name is always culturally, it has a cultural context. So like, I am from South, so we have long names where our father's name, grandfather's name, village name, everything is included in the whole name. Kanakapati Apalachalam Sankarilingam Zakapati Raju. That is one name. The passport officer thinks 4 passports are being made. And then you go to China, the name is simple, Hu. And the name ends there. So, when he got initiated, Prabhupada gave him the name Hamsa Duta Adhikari. He said, what does it mean? Prabhupada said, your old name Hans, add Duta. And second name was Carry, add Adhi. So it becomes Hamsa Duta Adhikari. So he said, after initiation also name didn't change. What is the meaning? Prabhupada said, read Bhagavatam, you will find out. So he started studying Bhagavatam, he couldn't figure out. Then another initiation, Prabhupada was sitting and talking to devotees. Brahmanand means this, Bhavanand means this. So Hamsaduta Prabhu was sitting there. He asked Prabhupada, who's Hamsaduta? Prabhupada said, you. And then Prabhupada said, most important part of the name is Das. So such powerful personalities who were ruling the entire country on behalf of Nawab Hussain Shah with straw between their teeth, they have conquered Lord Chaitanya's heart with their humility. Vidya Bhakti Buddhi Bole Parama Praveen Tobu Apana Kamane Trina Hoite Hin. Lord Chaitanya says, you cannot compare with Srila Sanatan Goswami's Vidya, with his Bhakti, with his Buddhi, with his Bala. It's incomparable. But I am not impressed by Sanatan Goswami because of all these qualities. What has endeared me to Srila Sanatan Goswami is his humility. Tabu apana ke mane, trina hoite hin. He is humbler than a blade of grass. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glorifying both of them. Tara dainya dekhi shuni, pashana bidare, tabi amatushta hoye kahilu dohare. Lord Chaitanya says, by the humility of Rupa and Sanatan, even the stones melt. That is the level of their humility. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining to Sanatan, from Jagannath Puri to go to Vrindavan, why did I take the route via Bengal? That was a pretty out of the way route. And many acharyas have discussed this, that Puri to Vrindavan was a straightforward route. Lord Chaitanya goes via Bengal. Why? Because he wanted to meet the Brajavasis before going to Braj. Without the touch of the Brajavasis, you cannot enter Braj. And so Rupa and Sanatan were the Brajavasis sitting in Ramakeli. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give his mercy to them and to prepare them and give them the mission that I am going to Braj, but the future of Braj is in your hands. गौड़ निकटे आसीते नाहि मोर प्रयोजन तो मधुह देखी मोरा इह आगमन. Actually, I came here mainly to see you. जन्मे जन्मे तुम दुहि किंकर अमार अचिराते कृष्ण तुम्हारे कोरिबे उद्धार. Life after life, both of you have been my eternal associates. And therefore, you are eternally glorious. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivers Roop and Sanatan. And this is that particular junction where Srila Sanatan Goswami has to make a choice. Both of them want to join Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Lord Chaitanya says, I am going to Vrindavan. And after I come back from Vrindavan, that is the time you will get the indication when to come. For now, continue. So Srila Sanatan Goswami is the more politically astute out of the two. Nawab Hussain Shah is more dependent on Srila Sanatan Goswami. So at that time, it is described that Srila Sanatan Goswami is under the control of Nawab Hussain Shah. And then he sees that Nawab is making plans to conquer over Puri. So, it is described here. लोभिकायस्त गण राज कार्य करे अपने स्वगृहे करे शास्त्र विचारे. It was becoming more and more difficult for Sanatan Goswami to be focused in all these materialistic activities. The call of renunciation was growing deep, because when the call of renunciation comes from within the heart, even one moment becomes suffocating. And therefore, at this point, Sanatan Goswami decided, enough is enough. Bhattacharya Pandita Bishatrishalaya Bhagavat Bichara Koren Sabhate Boshiya. So Sanatan Goswami surrounded himself with 20-30 Bhagavatas, devotees. And Sanatan Goswami put sick leave. So Nawab Hussain Shah was getting the information that Sanatan Goswami, Sakar Malik, is sick, not reporting on duty. But he is sitting there studying Bhagavatam. And at that point, Nawab Hussain Shah became suspicious. And one day, without informing, Nawab Hussain Shah comes suddenly to check on what is going on with Sanatan. And as soon as he enters, Padshahe dekhiya sabe sambrame uthila, sambrame asan diya, raja re basaila. Everybody got up, all the Brahmins also got up, all the Bhagavatas got up, and they offered a seat to Nawab Hussain Shah. So Srila Prabhupada writes an interesting purport where he says, Nawab Hussain Shah was actually a sinful person, killing and eating the cows also. Why these Bhagavatas had to suddenly get up and offer respect to such a sinful person? Sambhrame asana diya, raja re basaila. Why should such a sinful person be given this honor? And Prabhupada says, anybody who has received power in this world, that power should be seen as a reflection of Krishna. Yat yat vibhuti mat sattvam shrimat urjitam evava. He may be sinful or whatever, but he was in a powerful position. Nobody can attain anything powerful in this world without reflection of Krishna's grace. So therefore, all of them could see the presence of Krishna within this. At this time, when Sanatan Goswami looked at Nawab Hussain Shah, Nawab said, "Why you are not coming, Sanatan?" And Sanatan Goswami said, "Te ho kahe jate tumi, devataye dukha dite, mora shakti nahi tomar sange jaite." So this is that period where Nawab Hussain Shah is planning to attack Orissa as per the historical records. And as Nawab is planning to attack Orissa, Sanatan Goswami doesn't want to support this. And he says, "Jabe tumi devataye dukha dite." In your campaign, you are going to be destroying many, many temples. You are going to be attacking Jagannath temple. You are going to be attacking temples in Bhubaneswar. Devataye dukha dite. I cannot support this campaign. Mora shakti nahi tomar sange jaite. So the last straw to break the camel's back was Nawab Hussain Shah wanting to attack the temples in Orissa. And Sanatan Goswami immediately resigned from the service of Nawab Hussain Shah on this ground. And he declared it very, very clearly that I cannot be part of this campaign of yours. So, Sanatan at this point becomes very much detached, and then he just tells the Nawab Hussain Shah, "Do whatever you want." And Nawab Hussain Shah, in a fit of anger, he puts Sanatan Goswami in the jail. And after putting him in jail, he gives him an opportunity to reflect and think. But Sanatan Goswami is not coming back. And inside the jail, Sanatan Goswami gets message from Rupa Goswami that he has already left and going to join Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in fact, Sanatan Goswami also wanted to leave with Rupa Goswami, but Rupa Goswami said, "Nawab Hussain Shah is most dependent on you. If both of us live together, he'll become suspicious that we have joined the Orissa king. Therefore, I will leave first and then you leave later." So Rupa Goswami, after leaving, he gives him the message, "I have already left." Sanatan Goswami had kept some money to bribe the jailer. So Sanatan Goswami approaches the jailer, the jail guard, and tells him, "If you allow a person like me to escape from this prison, I will be able to do pilgrimage of Hajj, plus take these few thousand gold coins," and keeps it in his hand. When the jail guard sees this, he finds it difficult to resist. And he says, "Okay, but what if Nawab Hussain Shah asks me where you went?" He says, "Baba, you just tell him that I went to take bath in the Ganges and I got drowned along with the chains. Give some reason like this." So that's how he says. And he escapes, and Sanatan Goswami runs all the way from the jail along with his one servant Ishan, and then comes into the mountains to a place where there is an inn. The innkeeper has mystic power by which he realizes someone has gold coins, and he would kill such people and take those gold coins. Sanatan Goswami's associate Ishan has brought 8 gold coins. Sanatan Goswami doesn't know. But then when Sanatan Goswami looks at the extra love and affection with which that innkeeper is speaking, because Sanatan Goswami is a trained diplomat, He's a trained politician. Just by seeing others' face, he could understand what is going on in their mind. So Sanatana Goswami becomes suspicious. Why is this innkeeper speaking in such a sweet fashion? He becomes suspicious and he asks Ishan, did you bring some money? And Ishan says, yes, I brought 8 gold coins. He says, I brought 7 gold coins. So Sanatana Goswami says, give me the 7. He takes the 7 and gives it to this innkeeper and says, you want this gold? Take this gold. Don't kill us. Let us go. The innkeeper says, you are a mystic man. You came to know in advance that I wanted to kill you. I wanted to take away your 8 gold coins. But now you have given me these gold coins. I am going to go and take you and leave you on the other side of the mountain so that you can actually go from here further to Varanasi. And then Sanatana Goswami goes along with Ishan further. And as he reaches a particular spot, he turns to Ishan and says, you told me 7 gold coins. That innkeeper said 8 gold coins. Ishan brings out 1 gold coin from his pocket. Sanatana Goswami says, why did you bring this? He says, I thought there may be some emergency expense. So I kept this 1 gold coin. And then Sanatana Goswami, at the crossroads in the middle of the mountains, turns to Ishan and said, Ishan, you and me cannot continue on this journey anymore because I depend on God and you depend on gold. Get lost. And Ishan goes back, crying. And Sanatana Goswami begins his journey of renunciation. Not by depending on gold, but by depending on God. And then he comes all the way to Varanasi. And that is where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is waiting. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is at the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya, and Mahaprabhu tells Chandrasekhar Acharya, go out and see if some Vaishnava has come. So Sanatana Goswami at that time has actually grown a beard, grown long hair, and is having like a kambal around his whole body. Nobody can detect who is he. So he comes out and says, no, there is some Daravesh sitting. Mahaprabhu says, bring that Daravesh. So he goes out and brings, and as soon as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees Sanatana Goswami, he immediately embraces him and he starts crying tears of ecstasy. So, at that point, it is described that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in full ecstasy. Tahare angane dekhi Prabhu dhaya oila, tare alingana kori prema vishta hoila. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraces Sanatan. And then he says, Prabhu sparshe prema vishta hoila Sanatan, more na chuya kohe gadgada bachan. Sanatana Goswami tells Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my dear Lord, please do not touch me. I am impure. And at that point, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jai Shri Radha Nilamada Bhagavan ki, Shri Haste kore na tara ang samarjan, teho kahe more Prabhu, no kara sparshan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his lotus hands is embracing and caressing Sanatana Goswami and seeing whether he is healthy or not. And Sanatana Goswami is protesting, my dear Lord, please do not touch me. Teho kahe more Prabhu na karo sparshan. Do not touch me, my dear Lord, do not touch me. And Lord Chaitanya says, Prabhu kahe toma sparshe atma pavitrete, bhakti bole patra tumi brahmanda shodhite. Lord Chaitanya says, by touching you, I am becoming purified. And because of the power of bhakti which you have, bhakti bole paratumi brahmanda shodite. You have the power to purify all the three worlds. O my dear Sanatan, Bhavadvida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani Sva Antasthena Gadabrata. The great souls, because of the power of bhakti they carry within their hearts, anybody who comes in touch with them get transformed. Even if they do not engage any externally spiritual activities, even commonplace activities which they engage in impacts others. So Prabhupada was talking to some news reporters, and then Prabhupada's secretary gave Prabhupada one orange. And Prabhupada was eating this orange as he was speaking to this reporter. And Prabhupada was speaking from the Gita. So Krishna says, and then the seed came in Prabhupada's mouth. So Prabhupada turned around and there was one waste bin. And Prabhupada looked at the waste bin and spat the seed. And the seed went flying and straight found its mark inside that waste bin. And the reporter was seeing only that. And then Prabhupada continued speaking. Another seed came. Another time Prabhupada turned and spat. And the reporter was watching what happens to the seed. Again it found its mark. And from that point onwards, the reporter was only seeing how every seed he is throwing is going all the distance and falling into that. And the reporter got impressed. And he thought, this is a great personality. And he actually became a devotee. Now by hearing this, if in tomorrow's preaching program you carry 12 oranges and think that let me do this, it will not work. Because tirthi kurvanti tirthani, great souls are carrying the Lord within their heart. And therefore Lord Chaitanya says, Toma dekhi toma sparshi gai tomar gun sarvendriya phala ei shastra nirupan. Toma dekhi, to see you, to touch you, and to glorify you. The Shastras say this is the perfection of human form of life. There is nothing more in the human form of life to accomplish than this. And in this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very much in a mood to offer his mercy to Sanatan. And Sanatan Goswami goes and shaves up and gives away his blanket, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very inspired by his renunciation. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at this point, he actually speaks to Srila Sanatana Goswami for 2 months, the Sanatana Shiksha, where basically the idea is Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the independent controller of material and spiritual energies. Krishna's internal energies facilitate his enjoyment and bliss. The jivas are part and parcel of Krishna and spiritual by nature, and jivas in the material world are conditioned by the external energy. And the jivas in the material world can become liberated and enjoy eternal blissful life with Krishna in the spiritual world. The Lord is simultaneously one and different from everything in the spiritual and the material world, which is known as the Achintya Bheda Bhed. And pure love of God is the highest goal of life. and one can attain love of God by practice of pure bhakti. This knowledge is obtained from Shastra like the Srimad Bhagvatam. Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Prema Tattva Sar, Bhava Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Lila Tattva are. So all these tattvas are explained by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Srila Sanatana Goswami. One disciple told Srila Prabhupada, again and again in your purports you are repeating, sense gratification is miserable, material world place of misery. You are repeating so many times, again and again. Why? Prabhupada said, still you don't understand. Still you are inclined to enjoy. So therefore, repetition is very important. And that repetition is to establish the tattva. Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives instruction for him. Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Prema, Seva Pravartan, Lupta Tirtha Uddhara Ara Vairagya Shikshan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives him the mission. Sanatan, you go to Vrindavan, establish temples, excavate lost places of pilgrimage. You create facility for hospitality of the Vaishnavas in Braj, and you write Bhakti Shastras, and most importantly, write literatures which will reveal what is the right standard for Vaishnav etiquette. And therefore, it is described, Kalena Brindavana Keli Varta Lupte Titam Khyapayitum Vishishya Kripamritena Bhishishescha Devas Tatraiva Rupam Cha Sanatanam Cha. In due course of time, Vrindavan was lost to the world. Krishna performed his pastimes in Brajbhumi Vrindavan. Vrindavan was at the pinnacle of its glory towards the end of Dwapar Yuga. And then Krishna gave instruction to his great grandson Vajranab to establish Vrindavan as a place of pilgrimage. And Vajranab created the beautiful deities of Govinda, Madan Mohan and Gopinath. Vajranab created the beautiful temple in Mathura. Vajranab made sure that Vrindavan is known as a holy place of pilgrimage. But then in 1000 AD there was attack on Vrindavan by Mahmud of Ghazni, and after that for next 500 years Vrindavan was lost to this world. Nobody knew the glories of Vrindavan. Even those around Vrindavan did not know this is place of Krishna's appearance. Vrindavan became lost. And therefore Srivatsa Goswami calls Lord Chaitanya as the Columbus of Vrindavan. And he had a mission to revive Vrindavan. But because Lord Chaitanya's mother, Shachi Mata, said to him, I don't want you to stay in Vrindavan, I want you to stay in Puri. Therefore Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not fulfill his own desire to stay in Vrindavan. And so he gives order to Srila Sanatana Goswami. And so Srila Sanatana Goswami begs Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after this Sanatana Shiksha is over, I want to come and travel with you. I want to follow you. Lord Chaitanya says, no. You go to Vrindavan, I will go to Puri. After some time you can come and visit me in Puri. Sanatana Goswami, with tears in his eyes, he keeps looking back at Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as running towards Vrindavan. His heart is with Lord Chaitanya, his feet are moving towards Vrindavan. He is torn between his heart and his mission. And then, when he enters into Vrindavan, he is received by Subuddhi Rai. Subuddhi Rai, who had been saved by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because Nawab Hussain Shah had, been employed by Subuddhi Rai in his childhood. And Subuddhi Rai had punished Nawab Hussain Shah. And there were marks on Nawab's back. And when the Nawab's wife found out, he said, Subudhi Rai should be punished. And so, ultimately, there was no way he could be freed from that punishment, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was merciful and said, you chant the holy names and you will be saved. And so Subudhi Rai was taking care of the Vaishnavas who would come to Vrindavan, along with Lokanath Goswami and Bhugarg Goswami, who were already there in Vrindavan. They received Srila Sanatan Goswami, took him around. Sanatan was lost in the ecstasy of seeing Braj. And then he was performing his activities of Madhukari and his Vairagya. But after 1 year, it was too much for him to tolerate. And he thought, I must go and meet Lord Chaitanya. And Sanatan Goswami starts traveling. And as he is walking along the Ganges, he drinks some infected water nearby in some forest. And then ultimately gets infected with a certain kind of skin disease. And there is pus on his body. And this pus is oozing out and it is affecting so much. He feels that if I go to Lord Chaitanya and the devotees, I am going to be contaminating them. So Srila Sanatan Goswami makes a plan that in this abominable condition, my life is useless. I cannot make any contribution to the Vaishnava community. My presence is a burden to Lord Chaitanya. My presence is a burden to the entire Vaishnava community. And therefore the only thing I can do is when I go to Jagannath Puri, in the next Rath Yatra, I will throw myself in front of the Rath cart and end my life. So this is the situation, that just 1 year before, Srila Sanatan Goswami has sat at the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and heard the entire Gaudiya philosophy in person. Someone who has heard the philosophy directly from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 2 months straight can go through episodes and circumstances where he or she may lose hope. So therefore, one may be filled with knowledge, but because the jiva is tathastha by nature, the Lord also puts his pure devotees like Arjuna and Sanatan Goswami in situations where, by the influence of the Yogamaya potency, they also experience hopelessness, to show that when we go through hopelessness, technology cannot help. Gadgets cannot help. We need the touch of other human beings. And therefore we can never ever feel, I am so qualified, I am so advanced that I am beyond the Vaishnava Sangha. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through this episode, is revealing to Sanatan Goswami, through Sanatan Goswami, that however qualified we may be, we always have to remain dependent on the Vaishnava association. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at this point, he looks at Sanatan when he meets, because Sanatan comes to the hut of Haridas Thakur and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets him. And Lord Chaitanya looks at him and says that Dehatyagadi tamodharma pataka karan sadhaka na paye tate Krishnera charan. Lord Chaitanya looks at Sanatan and says, do you think by committing suicide you will get Krishna? And Sanatan is thinking, hey, how does he know? I have not revealed my plan. But he is Krishna. He knows everything. Ko buddhi chhadiya kora shravana kirtan achirat pabe tabe Krishnera charan. Lord Chaitanya looks at Sanatan and says, give up your nonsense plans. Kubuddhi chhadiya. Kara shravana kirtan. And you please engage only in Shravan and Kirtan. That is what I want you to do. And therefore, you please understand that when one is experiencing hopelessness, In that state of hopelessness, one should take shelter of the association of devotees. And in that association, hear from the devotees. And therefore Srila Prabhupada wrote his extensive books and purports. Devotees wrote to Srila Prabhupada that we are putting up a book table, and in the book table, next to the book table, we have prasadam distribution stall. So, in the prasadam book distribution, people come, take the prasadam, they feel full, and after they are full, they want to see the books. They buy one book, they buy two books, they buy three books, and they carry the whole set of books, and they practically spend all their money buying books. And Prabhupada immediately wrote back, yes, that is our mission. Hands full, stomach full, purse empty. We want everybody to study these books, understand these books, and transform themselves completely. That is why Srila Prabhupada emphasized on book distribution. We had one bus party. They had set up a book table in Nasik. And then one devotee is from the army background. He's now then brahmachari. He was standing there selling books, and some local gunda came there and started questioning, with whose permission you put this book table? You should have taken my permission. You should have done this. You should have done that. Jai Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki. Wow. So when he started demanding like this, I think some children are making some sound there. Can take them out. So, he was kind of agitating them. And he made a big mistake. This Gunda made a big mistake, and he held this devotee's kurta here. And being from the army, gave him a slap. And this guy went flying. And then he turned around and went. So the other brahmacharis became very afraid, and they told this person, "Yaar, you should not have done like this. You are army man, you can fight them, but tomorrow he'll bring other people. How we will deal with it? You are Fauji, we are Mauji. We can't handle this." So he said, "Don't worry, nothing." Next day, actually, this Gunda brought 6-7 people. And these devotees who were standing on book stall, one by one, they started leaving, saying, "I have to go cooking, I have to wash my clothes." Everybody disappeared. Only this army guy was standing. And these 6-7 people came, and this guy who was beaten the previous day came up and said, "You are the one who beat me yesterday?" He said, "Yes, I am the one who slapped you. What you will do?" He took out 500 rupees and said, "Give me 5 Bhagavad Gitas." So now we can't take it as a standard procedure for book distribution. But the idea behind book distribution is people in ignorance are fearful and they need knowledge. But people who have got the knowledge can also become fearful because they lose connection with that knowledge. So through Sanatan Goswami, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing, "Arey Baba, 1 year back, 2 months I spoke to him, and he got some skin disease and he's thinking I'm useless. I have nothing to contribute. I have to end my life." Just imagine. 1517 this conversation is going on, and Sanatan Goswami Pad left in 1564. What a contribution he made after that. You have to allow the Lord to reveal what he wants to accomplish through you. It is his mission, not your mission. And therefore, a practicing devotee should never become despondent, thinking, "I am not getting any signal." You have to become qualified to get the signal. And you have to allow the Lord to reveal as per His timeline. You can't send a memo to Him, hey, what's going on? I'm not getting any indication. What do you want from me? To such an exalted person like Sanatan Goswami, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showcasing through him that even when you are practicing Krishna consciousness sincerely and seriously, expect episodes of feeling hopeless. That doesn't mean we'll resign ourselves and think, oh, then there is no hope only. Let's go to sleep. Which means that when you are hopeless, do what Lord Chaitanya is indicating. Bhajanera madhya sreshta navavida bhakti Krishna prema Krishna dite dhare maha shakti. Lord Chaitanya says to Sanatan, suicide is not the solution. You engage in bhajan. Navavida bhakti. That will give Krishna prema. Out of Navavida bhakti, which is the best? Tara madhye sarva sreshtha nama sankirtan niraparadhe nama loile pai prema dhan. Out of this, the best is chanting the holy names without offense. And that you should chant, and that will transform you completely. Sanatan says, Sarvagya kripalo tumi Ishvara swatantra Jaichena chao taichena chijena kashtha yantra. My dear Lord, you are all knowing. You make me dance the way you want. Nicha adhama pamar moi pamara swabhav more ji aile tomar ki baho belab. Lord, my dear Lord, Sanatan says, I am a Nicha, Adhama, Pamar. I am fallen. I am useless. My nature is that of demoniac. More jiaile tomar, by keeping me alive, what will you gain? Is there any use of me being here in this association of your exalted Vaishnavas? More jiaile tomar kiba hobela, what will you gain, my dear Lord? And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is completely aghast with this question. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with great conviction, he says, Prabhu kahe tomar deha more nija dhana, tumi more korai che atma samarpan. Sanatan, your body is mine. It is my property. And therefore, I have the rights to decide what to do with this. Tomare sharir mora pradhan sadhan e sharire sadhimo ami bahu prayojan. Your body is my prime instrument to accomplish my mission for which I have appeared. Tomar sharir mor pradhana sadhan. And it is not that Lord Chaitanya has not revealed to him this in Varanasi. He has already told him in Varanasi. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Sanatan is indicating, even after getting clear-cut, crystal clear instructions straight from the horse's mouth, so to say, we will have tendency to forget. Because that's the nature of this world. So he's using Sanatan Goswami as an instrument. E sharire sadhimuami bahu prayojan. Through your body I am going to accomplish many things. What is that? Bhakta bhakti Krishna prema tattvera nirdhar Vaishnavera kritya ar Vaishnava achar. O Sanatan, I want you to elaborate on 5 principles. What is devotee, what is devotional service, what is love of God, what is Vaishnava duties, and what are Vaishnava dealings and Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Prema, Seva Pravartan, Lupta Tirtha Uddhar Ar Vairagya Shikshan. And you have to elaborate on Krishna Bhakti. You have to establish temples which are means to bring out love of God, and excavate lost holy places and explain about standards for renounced order. Nija priya sthana mora Mathura Vrindavan, taha eta dharma chahi korite pracharan. Vrindavan is my own dear holy place. Please establish this, because Matar agya ami bosi nila chale, taha dharma shikhaite nahi nija bale. Therefore, Sanatan, please know, every devotee in the association is very important. He's saying, I am Lord Chaitanya, that's fine, but still, I have certain limitations. I can do many things, but I also cannot do many things. And therefore, to assist me, I need others. And my mother has given me instruction not to stay in Vrindavan. I love Vrindavan, but I can't stay in Vrindavan. But I want you to stay in Vrindavan. And therefore, never underestimate any devotee and what potentially they can do in establishing the mission, because the Lord has a plan for each and every devotee. And so Sanatana Goswami at this time, on the instruction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he leaves after spending few months, and approximately in 1518 he comes back to Vrindavan, establishes the first temple, which is Vrindadevi, as the first shrine. And then as he is doing Madhukari in Mathura, he comes to the house of Damodar Chaube, who was a Brahman. And Damodar Chaube has a beautiful deity of Madan Gopal. And seeing that deity, Sanatana Goswami's heart filled with ecstasy, wants to serve Madan Gopal. And Sanatana is thinking, when will I get chance to serve Madan Gopal? And he sees that Damodar Chaube's wife has a son whose name is Sadhana. But they treat Madan Gopal also as their second son. So they treat that in our family there are two sons, Sadhana and Madana. And they are dealing with both. So Sanatan looks at Damodar Chaube's wife and tells her, you deal with Sadhana as your son, but Madana is actually the Supreme Lord. He is your Ishta. There should be some rules and regulations. So she agrees and says, okay. After a couple of weeks, when Sanatan comes to their house, she says, Madana came in my dream and he chastised me. And he said, you are making a distinction between Sadhana and me now. You were showing so much of affection before, now you have shown formality. Now you are rejecting me, this is not good. Forget all these rituals. Deal with me like you were dealing before. So Sanatana Goswami immediately offers his prayers to Madan Gopal and says, I'm sorry, I interfered in your relation with Damodar Chaube's wife. And then Sanatana at this point lost all hope that Madan Gopal will ever come to him, because he says, there is such an intimate relation he's enjoying. How he will ever come? But then Madan Gopal is also having great desire to be served by Sanatana Goswami. So one day, Damodar Chaube's wife, when Sanatana Goswami comes, she says, actually Madan Gopal is becoming too difficult for us to handle. His demands are growing. He is becoming too difficult to handle, and his tantrums are too much for us to take care. And he also comes and indicates to us that he wants to be served by you. So it is better that you take him. So Sanatan Goswami was waiting for this day. He takes Madan Gopal with him and brings him right to Dwadash Aditya Til and places him right there. And every day is giving just some, wheat, and then makes bati and gives without even salt. So Madan Gopal, after a few days, speaks to Sanatan and says, every day you are giving this tasteless bati. Why don't you at least put some salt and give? Sanatan Goswami becomes very angry. He says, hey, today you are asking salt, tomorrow you will ask Chappan Bhog. Mind your own business. I don't have time to get salt and everything. You want salt, you make your own arrangements. Sanatan Goswami says. So there is a big merchant called Ramdas Kapoor. He is bringing salt in a big boat. That boat gets stuck right in front of the Dwadashaditya Til in Yamuna. And then he sees this lamp and he comes up and meets Sanatan and says, is there any way you can help me free my boat? And Sanatan looks at Madan Gopal and says, you pray to him. If he desires, your boat can get released. And Ramdas Kapoor prays to Madan Gopal. He says, if the boat is released with all the profits, I'll build you a temple. And suddenly, the level of Yamuna grows and the boat is released. And Ramdas Kapoor actually fulfills his promise and builds a beautiful temple for Madan Gopal. Ei granth lekhaye more Madan Mohan, Amar likhan yen shukir pathan. Ei likhi Madan Gopal ye likhaye, काष्ठेर पुतल ये न कुहके नचाए. कुलाधि देवता मोरे मदन मोहन, जार सेवक रघुनाथ रूप सनातन. So therefore, Madan Mohan, Madan Gopal, both names are used interchangeably. So Sanatan Goswami goes to Madan Gopal and says, oh, I told you make your own arrangement. What arrangement you made? You made the boat only to get stuck and everything. So then Sanatan Goswami at this point continues writing books, and after establishing the temple, in a few months he is completely absorbed in serving Madan Gopal in that new temple. And then one day he remembers, my mission given to me is not to keep worshipping Madan Gopal. My mission is given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to excavate lost holy places. So he offers prayers to Madan Gopal. I am giving your seva to Krishnadas Brahmachari, who will continue serving you, my dear Lord. You are my worshipable deity, but I do not have the luxury to continue serving you anymore. I have my mission to accomplish. And for the sake of his mission, Sanatan Goswami leaves the service of Madan Mohan in the hands of Krishnadas Brahmachari, continues traveling in Brajamandal, connecting with the Brajavasis, making them aware of the power of Brajamandal, excavating lost holy places, and writing books like Brihad Bhagavatamrita and others. And then finally it is described that as Sanatan Goswami is engaged in deep austerity, at that point, Sanatan Goswami every day is performing Govardhan Parikrama. And he has his Bhajan Kutir, one in Nandagaon also, and one in Chakleshwar Mahadev also. So it's becoming more and more difficult to do this Parikrama. And then one day he sees that Lord is standing on one Giriraj Shila, placing his feet and making a mark. And he gives that Govardhan Shila to Sanatan and says, now in your old advanced age, you cannot do full parikrama. You just do parikrama of this. This is not different from Govardhan. And so Srila Sanatan Goswami takes that as the Lord's instruction, and he establishes the trend of Chaurasi Krosh Parikrama. So the whole Braj Mandal Parikrama was established by Sanatan Goswami. And so, because he was so popular with the Brajavasis that whenever he would come to any of the village in Braj, all the Brajavasis would be crying tears welcoming him. And then they would ask him to sit there. And in one village, when Sanatan was trying to get up and go, they were not allowing him to leave only. He would get up and they would say, no, sit here. Then again he would get up, no, sit here. So they made him sit there for weeks. So the name of that village is called Baithan in Brajamandal. It is still there. So Sanatan, when he would enter a village, there would be tears of welcome. And when he would leave the village, there would be tears of separation. And he was so dear to all the Brajavasis, he became known as the Guru of all the Brajavasis. And he wrote the 4 books, Digdarshini and Brihat Vaishnav Toshni, Lilastav and Brihat Bhagavatamrita. And ultimately, in Ashad Purnima, in the month of Ashad, on the Purnima, in 1554, Srila Sanatan Goswami ends his pastimes. And he is known as, from the spiritual world, Rati Manjari or Labhang Manjari. And it is described that even till this date, the biggest Govardhan Parikrama which happens in Vrindavan is on the day of Ashad Purnima, which is now known as Guru Purnima. So some people say, because Sanatan Goswami is Guru, so it is, they are referring to that as Guru Purnima. Some say Govardhan is accepted as Guru by the Brajavasis. So they do that parikrama on that occasion. So this is Srila Sanatan Goswami Pad, the personality who is empowered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to excavate lost holy places and revive Vrindavan in the way we see today. And we should always remember that whatever privileges of bhakti we are getting, it is because someone, somewhere, sometime has performed hundreds of times more austerities than we have. And because of their austerity, their prayer, their devotion, we are getting privileges in bhakti like we could never imagine. So therefore, we are grateful to such great personalities like Srila Sanatan Goswami, because of whose bhakti and devotion we are able to experience the joy of practice of Braj Bhakti the way Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has established. So tomorrow morning we will continue with our discussion on the glories of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. And in conclusion, we will just sing the Shad Goswami Ashtakam, which may be displayed on the screen. So this Shad Goswami Ashtakam was written by Srinivas Acharya and describes about the glories of these 6 Goswamis. So we will sing together because it's very long and the meanings are also beautiful, and it describes about how they were engaged in devotion. And the essence of the Shad Goswami Ashtakam is how one should enter into the mood of Vrindavan. Krishnot kirtana gana nartana paro Premamritambo nidhi Dhira dhira jana priyo priyakaro Nirmatsaro pujito Sri Chaitanya kripa bharo bhuvi bhuvao भारावहन्तारकौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ नानाशास्त्रविचारणैकनिपुणौ सद्धर्मसंस्थापकौ लोकानां हितकारिणौ त्रिभुवने मन्यौ शरण्याकरौ राधाकृष्णपदारविन्दभजना नन्देन मत्तालिकौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ श्रीगौराङ्गगुणानुवर्णनविधौ श्रद्धासमृद्ध्यान्वितौ पापोत्तापनिकृन्तनौ तनुभृतां गोविन्दगानामृतै आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनैकनिपुणौ कैवल्यनिस्तारकौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ त्यक्त्वा तूर्णमशेषमण्डलपति श्रेणिं सदा तुच्छवत् भूत्वा दीनगणेशकौ करुणया कौपीनकण्ठाश्रितौ गोपीभावरसामृताब्धिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नौ मुहुर्वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ कूजत कोकिलहंससारसगणा कीर्णे मयूराकुले नानारत्ननिबद्धमूलविटपा श्रीयुक्तवृन्दावने राधाकृष्णमहर्निशं प्रभजतौ जीवार्थदौ मुदा वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ संख्यापूर्वकनामगाननटिभिः कालावसानीकृतौ निद्राहारविहारकादिविजितौ चात्यन्तदीनौ च यौ राधाकृष्णगुणस्मृतेर्मधुरिमा नन्देन सम्मोहितौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ राधाकुण्डतटे कलिन्दतनया तीरे च वंशीवटे प्रेमोन्मादवशादशेषदशया ग्रस्तौ प्रमत्तौ सदा गायन्तौ च कदा हरेर्गुणवरम् भावाभिभूतौ मुदा वन्दे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीव गोपालकौ। हे राधे ब्रज देविके च ललिते, हे नंद सूनुकुत। श्री गोवर्धन कल्प पाद पतले, कालिंदी बने कुत। घोषन्ताविति सर्वतो ब्रजपुरे, खेदैर्महाविह्वलौ। वन्दे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीव गोपालकौ। वन्दे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीव गोपालकौ। वन्दे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. बोलिए
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
जय श्री श्री राधा नील माधव भगवान की
जय,
नाम संकीर्तन की
जय,
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
जय,
समस्त गौर भक्त वृंद की
जय,
निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे
हरि 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 बोल.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna,
All glories to assembled
Hare
devotees.
Krishna,
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna,
All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।
Hare Krishna everyone. So we will continue the part 2 tomorrow sharp at 10 o'clock with Rupa Goswami. So for those who joined here for the first time and hearing Gauranga Prabhu, a brief description about him is that he is the GBC. In fact, he is the youngest GBC. He is the director of Govardhan Ecovillage, co-president of ISKCON Chowpatty. He is also part of the GBC nominee committee. But we all know him that he is well known for his carrying out his Krishna Katha, Krishna Kirtan. Apart from that, organizational development, congregational development, any project, Prabhu just leads and does the best. So let's welcome His Grace Gauranga Prabhu and also express our gratitude and thank him by loudly chanting Hari Bol. But before that, I want to just let you all know that Prabhu just started the US tour and he was first to come to Seattle. So and this year he is not even visiting many congregation, but he gave us a preference. So when we express our gratitude, please. So let's chant Hari Bol by. Let's express our gratitude by chanting Hari Bol 3 times. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Also today there were devotees from multiple congregations have joined for the today's session as well as for the throughout the series. Let's give a big Hari Bol for devotees from ISKCON Calgary. Devotees from Caribbean Institute of Higher Education. And also we are joined by few devotees from Portland, so let's also welcome. Hare Krishna. So we will continue tomorrow sharp exactly at 10 o'clock. Hare Krishna.
Calgary is online, no?
Yeah, they are in the Zoom right now online. Yeah.
I thought they came.